Good evening, Carla. This is Michael Seegers. Thursday, September 11, 8 p.m. And I've got a story like you've never heard before. So, where do we start? I had just finished setting up my new apartment as sort of a temple, I guess. I had wanted to use it for outreach, a place where I could have people come over and teach them about the Son of Masters. And I had my first new student. Her name was Yasmin Firdaus. And I had a very special idea in mind for what we were going to do on that afternoon. And we were sitting in front of my altar, and I brought out a box with 25 large polished amethyst gemstones, and I put them on the altar. And after we gave some decrees, I said to her, I'm going to play a dictation for you now. This is Saint Germain with liquid light. And my intention was that Saint Germain would release the liquid light into the room and saturate the gemstones with that liquid light. And so we did that, and we had a wonderful afternoon. And a few days later, I had a very interesting experience that I describe as, if stones could speak, they certainly did. And the message was, take us to Barangi. And I found that to be quite interesting. Pondered what I should be doing. And a few days later, as I'm looking at items on my desk and I see a copy of Vitality magazine underneath a pile of papers, and I pulled it out and I see there's an ad for the bookstore The Rising Sun, and there's a picture of a lady named Barangi. And I'm thinking, well, I guess I have to go and see this lady. And I brought the box of amethyst gemstones with me. And we introduced ourselves, and I said, I thought you might like to see this. And I opened up the box, and she was very, very pleased. And it began an extraordinary conversation, which led to me teaching her about the violet flame. And a little segue here, you got to understand about the liquid light. There's something so powerful that very few Chelas have ever experienced. I remember when I was president of the Toronto Teaching Center, and in my very first few Sunday classes that I hosted, I brought that dictation with me on an audio cassette. And just when we got to the point where Saint Germain was about to release liquid light into the room, the tape jammed. And it was a brand new tape, and the equipment was fine. And that was a bit of a surprise, and we rewound it and played it again up to that point, and it jammed just before Saint Germain released the liquid light. This happened several times. And finally, I asked everybody in the room if they had this type of experience themselves ever. And everybody said, oh, yeah, that's just classic interference. I said, well, I'm open to suggestions. And everybody said, well, we should do some Archangel Michael decrees. We should call to Shiva. And we did that for 5 minutes. And then we proceeded to play the tape. And it was flawless. And Saint Germain released liquid light into the room. And everybody got that. And then we did about a half-hour violet flame decrees. And while we were giving the Arcturus decree, my third eye opened, and I saw the liquid light coming into the room, and it intensified until it looked like everybody in the room was standing in a purple monsoon. It was just pouring in. It was unbelievable. So I had a real sense of liquid light that was unique in my experience. Other people didn't have that same visual experience, but I certainly never forgot it. So I had a very, very strong sense of what I was doing when I wanted to have Saint Germain pour that light into the gemstones, and it certainly had its effect on Barangi. And as I got to know her and I would come to visit her frequently, Wesak was coming up, and I said to her, "What are you doing for Wesak?" And she looked at me and she said, "What is Wesak?" So I explained it to her. I said, "We should do an event here in your back room." She said, "Sure, whatever you like." She said, "I've got a large database of customers." She said, I'll promote the event for you, and you just create the program and do it." And so I gave a presentation, a 3-hour presentation, 90 minutes on Wesak and Buddhist mantras, and 90 minutes on what is the violet flame. Barangi filled the room. About 45 or 47 or 8 people were there that day. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and then Barangi said to me, "Can you come back and do more? Can you do like a Sunday service every week?" And I said, "Sure, I can do that." And she said, "Well, I'm going to redecorate the whole room for you." She went out and bought a purple carpet, tore out all the old stuff, and she said, "This is your room. All you have to do is come here and teach." And we've been doing that for 11 years now. That's the story of the beginning of Shambhala Temple of Light, how it came to be. God bless you, Carla. Have fun with this story.